at this event. Now the theme is advancing women's inclusion in politics and governance, addressing barriers to women's participation and representation. I am delighted that this summit has chosen this theme because this theme speaks not only to the aspirations of Nigerian women, but also to the democratic future of our nation. It isn't merely a political conversation, it is a national conversation. It is also a development conversation. It is a justice conversation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria's democratic journey cannot attain its full potential if over half of its population remains underrepresented in the institutions where decisions are made. Women constitute almost half of our population and have consistently demonstrated excellence in governance, in diplomacy, academia, business entrepreneurship, science, agriculture, civil society, and mentorship. Yet, when we examine our elected institutions, we find a glaring disparity between women's capabilities and their representation. Today, women occupy only a small fraction of seats in our National Assembly, in our state houses of assembly, and executive political offices. This imbalance is not due to Nigerian women lacking competence, lacking courage, or even leadership qualities. Rather, it reflects a structural and systemic barriers that have persisted for decades. These barriers include the high cost of political participation, cultural stereotypes, violence and intimidation during elections, unequal access to party structures, inadequate political financing, and deeply entrenched social norms that continue to discourage many capable women from seeking elective office. The consequence is not only unfair to women, it is costly to our democracy. When women are excluded from decision-making, society loses valuable perspectives on education, on healthcare, family welfare, and economic development. It also loses peace building, social justice, inclusive governance, consistently produces stronger institutions, more balanced policies, and more sustainable development outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, as Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have had the privilege of engaging with countries across Africa and beyond. One lesson is unmistakable. Nations that have deliberately invested in women's political inclusion have strengthened both their democratic institutions and their economic performance. Across Africa, in countries like Tanzania and Namibia, which have female presidents, we have witnessed demonstrable affirmative measures, constitutional guarantees, deliberate political commitment that have dramatically improved women's representation. These experiences remind us that progress does not happen by chance. It happens through political will. It is therefore fitting that this summit lends its voice to the proposed reserved seats for women bill currently before the National Assembly. This proposed legislation should not be viewed as a concession or as a favor to women. Rather, it should be understood as a democratic corrective, a practical mechanism to address historical imbalances that have prevented capable women from fully participating in governance. Around the world, temporary special measures have helped open political spaces that later became self-sustaining. Such measures are consistent with international commitments that Nigeria has freely undertaken, including the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and the African Union's Protocol on the Rights of Women in Africa. Supporting gender inclusion, therefore, aligns with Nigeria's constitutional aspirations, our international obligations, and also with our national development objectives. Distinguished guests, political inclusion, however, extends beyond legislation. Political parties remain the primary gatekeepers of democratic participation. If we truly desire greater representation of women, our political parties must intentionally create pathways for women to emerge as candidates, leaders, strategists, negotiators, and policymakers. This requires transparent nomination processes, affordable nomination fees, mentorship programs, leadership development initiatives, and protection against political violence. I stress protection against political violence. I stress this point because very often, and it's not peculiar to one political party, when women come out to contest, it's always very easy to ensure that at the polling units, thugs can come, chase away people who are there, and then force has its way. I stress this point because I myself was a victim of such a practice when I contested for the senatorial primaries of Anambra South. It was an issue of gunmen at the primary grounds, shooting everywhere. Some people were shot. Eventually, the rest became history. I stress this because there have to be pathways for political parties to protect women against incidents like this, because if they continue, then everything that we say here really amounts to nothing. All in all, I commend APGA, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, for convening this summit. Thank you very much, our national chairman, because this summit will stimulate this very important national conversation, regardless of party affiliation. All political actors have a responsibility to ensure that capable women are given meaningful opportunities to contribute to nation building. As someone who has served Nigeria in diplomacy, public service, and political leadership, I understand that the journey for women in leadership is rarely easy. Women are often expected to work twice as hard to earn recognition that is readily accorded to others. Yet, Nigerian women have continued to rise. From our marketplaces to our universities, from our farms to our laboratories, from our courtrooms to our diplomatic missions, Nigerian women continue to prove that leadership has no gender. What remains is for our political institutions to reflect this undeniable reality. To our young women gathered here today, permit me to offer this message. Do not allow anyone to define the limits of your ambition. Prepare yourselves through education, integrity, competence, discipline, and service. Leadership is not merely about occupying office. It is about solving problems. It is about inspiring hope. It is about leaving society better than you met it. Your voices matter. Your ideas matter. Your leadership matters. Nigeria needs you. Finally, let us remember that advancing women's inclusion is not a women's only agenda. It is a national agenda that requires the partnership of men and women alike. Building an inclusive democracy is the responsibility of every citizen who believes in justice, who believes in fairness, and who believes in national progress. May we seize this moment to renew our collective commitment to building a Nigeria where every qualified citizen, regardless of gender, has an equal opportunity to lead, to serve, and to contribute to our nation's greatness. Together, let us build a democracy that reflects the diversity, that reflects the talent and the aspirations of the Nigerian people. May God bless the women of Nigeria, and may God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you for your